Well, good morning. Pastor Greg here, Faith Lutheran Church, Harvey, North Dakota, here with my midweek message, where I take a moment to check in with you and see how you're doing and let you know what's going on here at the church, and then a short devotion. Always glad to have you, and thank you for spending some time with me. I hope that something in here is beneficial to you today. So what's going on here at Faith? Well, I've been on vacation for a week. We were able to see my daughter Kate and her three kids came up to Camp LMA, our camper, and spent a few days there. And then Judy and I took a trip down to central Minnesota to spend a few days with some friends there that we're working with on some projects. So it was good to see them as always, and good to be just time away. It helps us reflect, reminds us that we do need to take time for refreshing and rejuvenating, and whatever that looks like to you. Sometimes we keep working and plowing through, and we forget to take some time for ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. Um, so that's kind of what Judy and I did this last week. So I want to take a moment and thank Kevin Roller, for Pastor Kevin, for leading worship on Sunday, this last Sunday, and the message that he provided. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm sure that you were able to get something out of it. So I'm glad he's here to step in when I'm away. We're just again thankful that we have another pastor here to do that. So thanks again to Kevin. I want to take a moment to invite you to a celebration following Sunday. This Sunday, the 31st. I guess I should tell you today's date, as I get busy and forget. It is July 27th. So anyway, so following the worship on Sunday, we'll have a little bit of celebration where we are reminded of our celebrating my Master's of Arts in Religion degree, which was completed this last fall. So look forward to seeing you. Bring something to share. It's a real. I think it should just be a real casual event. Have some fun, eat some food, and move on with our lives. So we're glad for that. We will have a baptism on Sunday. Case Welts. He will be the young child of Dean and Larissa Welts will be baptized. So we're excited for that. Always a wonderful thing to have a baptism in the church. So that's kind of what's happened. In the physical plant, they're still working on the air conditioning. I believe they have one system working. There's two systems in the sanctuary, one on the north side, one on the south side, and they have the north side one up and running. So I'll be glad to see that south side one finishing up, and so it'd be good to have that just out of the way, just to keep things clear, and also when we are in need of turning it on, it'll be there for us. So don't expect to use it a whole lot, but it'll be nice to have when we have large crowds. So enough of that. So that's kind of what's happening here. Working on some other paperwork stuff to get caught up, and as always, when you go away for a week, there's always stuff that happens and catch up that needs to take place. So that's where I kind of am. So devotion today, I'm going to take a look at the Luke texts for Sunday. The Luke text is chapter 12, verses 13 through 21. You're welcome to stop and take a look at it and then restart the video, or just plow along, as I always say. So Luke 12, 13 through 21. By the way, that noise you just heard is the wind blowing in my office. It's a beautiful day. Sun's shining there, but there is a bit of a wind, and it's kind of blowing some things around. I think a card just fell off the back ledge, so that's all right. I'll get it. All right, so Luke 12. It's the parable of the rich fool. Now, I think it's interesting to me about this particular text is that it kind of relates to our farming community and storing grain, um, and storing the, the crops, and build bigger bins, store more crops, those kind of things. So I think we can relate a little bit to this text in some ways, but sometimes we have to be careful about what we're saying about it. So where I want to focus on is in verse 15, where it says, "And Jesus said to them," these are the people, to the crowd, for the person who asked, "Tell my brother to divide," or didn't ask, he demanded, "Tell my brother to divide in my inheritance," or with him. Um, so, but verse 15 says, so, and he said to them, and that's who he's talking about, "Take care and be on your guard against all covetousness." You know, that's a sin anyway, right? "For one's life," and this is where I'm at, "does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." One's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. And I thought about that for a moment, and I thought to myself, how much would be enough possessions anyway? What do what is it that we need to cling to? What is it that we need to hang on to that's so important in our lives that we have to make room for it? Now, I'm not saying stuff is a bad thing. We all have stuff, don't we? We accumulate stuff. Some of us are better at getting rid of it than others. Some of us are good good at trying to find a balance. Um, but what it really boils down to here is this question that the this person asks Jesus about dividing an inheritance, and Jesus goes on with this parable, and he says that he tells us this parable of this guy who the crop was excellent, so he needed more space. So what did he do? He tore down all of his old barns and he built up bigger, newer ones. We see that here. We see that in our lives as well. But remember, this is a parable, and so it's not really demeaning or telling you not to do that. That's not in this text at all. So don't worry about that. But what it is at the end, as the man is sitting there looking and as he says, relaxing and eating and drinking and being merry, in verse 19, he's lost sight of the most important thing. And God, in verse 20, he says, "But God says to him, fool, you are a fool, because this night your soul is required of you. And the things that you have prepared, whose will they be?" So in other words, when you die, who gets your stuff? And what value is the stuff? I don't know. I talked a little bit about that a couple of weeks ago, um, before I left. Good portion kind of thing, Mary and Martha, kind of in the same realm. Mary found the good portion. So I'm wondering, in the parable of this, does the farmer um, find the good portion of what he's reaping, the goodness of God in his abundance that he received? So Jesus is reminding us the stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've got $1 in your checking account or $1 million in your checking account. When you die, it's still in your checking account. It doesn't come with you. There's a meme on Facebook where there's a hearse. Hearses don't typically have U-Hauls behind them, and then I laughed and I said this, "Oh yeah," and you have to unhook the hearse to get the casket out anyway. So what good is the stuff? So don't think that you can take it with you. And I think that's really what Jesus is telling us. He's here not to decide for you what how much you get or how little you get, but he's here to give you all of the good portion, all of him, all of the richness towards God uh, and everlasting life with the Father. So that's kind of where I am. I'm not sure if that's where I'll take it. But again, who knows? That's all I'm going to say. Some prayers today. Continued prayers for just the conflicts around the world and the country too. I mean, we have a lot of conflict going on between various different things. And it sounds probably worse than it really is in our country, because most people, I think, are just trying to live their lives and move on amongst all the screaming and the hollering from either side. Do your best to just focus on Jesus and so forth. So pray for conflict this week, and then pick one person today. Pick a family member that maybe isn't obviously in need of prayer, but pick a family member and pray for them. So, well, God's grace and peace be to you this day. And as you go about your world, in living in this world, do take care.